Hello everyone, first news update for 6th of February. Now it's 20 past 9 in the morning Moscow time, and I have prepared quite a number of news about some major topics that Russian public and media is paying attention to. And well, I will start with this report from RIA Novosti that overnight, early hours of this morning, Russian air defense systems on duty intercepted 28 drones that were launched formally by Kiev regime, in reality by NATO, or with assistance of NATO, to strike deep into Russian territory. To be more precise, 13 drones were intercepted over the Azov Sea, 8 drones over the Rostov region, 6 drones over the Krasnodar region, 1 drone over the Astrakhan region. No information at this point about casualties on the ground or more or less significant damage as a result of this. Yet another strike deep into Russian territory. If any updates on that, of course, I will share additional information on my Telegram channel and their Twitter X page. Next news is from TASS news agency about exchange of POWs that took place yesterday between Moscow and Kiev. Russia freed 150 Ukrainian POWs and Kiev regime freed 150 Russian POWs. UAE played key role to facilitate this POW exchange, as it does quite often. And for example, since 2024, UAE facilitated exchange of over 2,800 POWs between Russia and Ukraine. So credit should be given to leadership of UAE for their humanitarian involvement into this crisis. Also, TASS news agency is reporting that special U.S. envoy for Ukraine and Russia, Kat Kellogg, is set to present U.S. President Donald Trump's plan to end the Ukrainian conflict in a speech at the Munich Security Conference next week. Bloomberg reported, citing sources, although the report did not specify exactly what proposals the plan will contain. And to be honest, I don't think it worth too much attention, because from leaks in Western propaganda, intentional leaks in Western propaganda from Trump's administration, we already learn what kind of topics are discussed between Trump and his inner circle. For example, freezing of the conflict, deployment of NATO troops disguised as a sort of a peacekeepers on line of contact. Also, a delay of Ukraine's accession to NATO for whatever number of years, 10, 15, 25 or more. None of this is acceptable for Moscow, and Russian leadership was very clear on this matter. Moscow wants end of this conflict, not the freezing of this conflict. And the Russian president and many other high-ranking officials were saying directly that ending of hostility possible only if root causes are addressed, root causes inside Ukraine, and also in regards to relationships between West and Russia, because without it hardly possible through the escalation to be a richer and sustainable peace. So therefore, me personally, I don't expect anything interesting to come out from Kellogg's speech in Munich conference, but Munich so-called security conference, yet another gathering nowadays that don't really has any respect in this world. Just by nature, people are still paying attention to this conference, but I mean, in reality, who cares, man? What Munich security conference? Come on now. But anyways, it's next week, right? Not far away. We will find out, but I'm quite sure Kellogg will say nothing of nothing that will really deserves any true attention. Meanwhile, by the way, Russian high-ranking officials are reacted on statements of Zelensky, so-called president of Ukraine, when he, during his interview with Piers Morgan, demanded actually NATO to deploy its troops on a line of contact, and also Ukraine to become a nuclear armed regime. West to provide Kyiv regime with nukes. And Maria Zakharova, official representative, commented on that. She called Zelensky a maniac, which is, I mean, I would use more stronger words, but okay, let's go with that. So Ukrainian leader Vladimir Zelensky's statements on obtaining nuclear weapons are cause for serious concern, Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova has said. In a social media post on Wednesday, she branded Zelensky as a maniac gripped by sick delusions, who could seek a dirty bomb. And well, it is good that high-ranking Russian officials once again paying attention to a topic that the Kyiv regime may attempt with the assistance of their Western masters, Western backers, to obtain a dirty bomb, right? I remind you, dear friends, that I said many times before that, in my personal opinion, Western ruling class plans as the next phase of escalation with Russia, transformation of a Kyiv regime into a nuclear-armed regime, which means West most likely will assist and maybe already assisting Kyiv regime to obtain atomic bombs or dirty bombs, call it whatever you want, right? And it is good to know that Russian leadership is also seeing this threat, right? Russian president, some other officials were very clear that Moscow will never allow Kyiv regime to become nuclear, and in that regard, I think some strong steps have to be made now. Once Ukraine obtains, or once Kyiv regime will make statement that because it was not accepted in NATO, they had no option but to create atomic bombs, before Kyiv regime will be in a place to make such a statement, Russia have to take some strong steps. And for now, I did not see any of it, right? And it does concerns me. It does concerns me because quite often Russia is reacting on certain developments, and there is a far fewer instances when Russia is taking preemptive measures to avoid any negative development, right? Especially when it comes to Ukrainian crisis. And therefore, I really hope Moscow will take whatever steps are necessary to make sure that Kyiv regime will never ever be in a position of nuclear weapons, right? But it is a risk. It is a risker, and it's not just me saying this, by the way. It's an official representative for Russian Foreign Ministry saying that, and previously even Russian president spoke about such risks, right? So hopefully in short time we will see concrete steps from Russian side to make sure that Kyiv regime will have no dirty bombs in its disposal. And Peskov, by the way, press spokesman of the Russian president, also commented on this crazy statements of Zelensky, and he said that his statements are bordering total madness, which is also true. But yet again, statements on its own don't really doing much, right? Some concrete steps are needed, strong steps to make sure that Western ruling class will don't even dare to try to assist Kyiv regime with the development of their basic atomic bombs. I don't think Kyiv regime is in a position to have thermonuclear weapons, but Kyiv regime definitely, with the assistance of NATO specialists, Kyiv regime, due to vast quantities, vast volume of radioactive materials in Kyiv-controlled territory, because after all, quite a number of nuclear reactors were working there for decades and decades. And one of the byproduct of that work of nuclear reactors is a plutonium, different isotopes of plutonium. Therefore, Kiev regime definitely is in a position to acquire atomic bomb if it will receive assistance from the West. And I'm afraid they already are receiving such assistance, by the way, right? Former head of Russian radioactive, biological, and chemical defense forces that was assassinated by Kiev regime secret services with their cooperation with the assistance of CIA. I'm 100% sure about it. CIA and MI6. That former head of these Russian forces, on several occasions, made statements warning about risks that and not just about risks, but he was also saying that West is actually involved in transiting delivering some radioactive materials to Kiev regime, right? I reported a few weeks ago, at this point more than a month ago, I believe, about a high radioactive phone in Odessa port area, right? Which can be explained by several ways, and one of it is that some radioactive materials were moved around there, right? And so, yes, topic of transformation of Kiev regime into a nuclear armed regime is definitely one that is should be taken most seriously, and hopefully we will see all the necessary steps being taken by Russian side to make sure that this will not happen. Unfortunately, at this point, I did not see any. Maybe I'm missing something, but I only see statements after statements after statements, which is good, but not enough for sure. Anyways, let's continue. TASS news agency is reporting that Russian armed forces, according to Defense Ministry, liberated Baranovka settlement and Novomlinsk settlement. Baranovka is located in the DPR. Novomlinsk in the Kharkov region. Let me show you on the map. So Baranovka is here, by the way, on the northeastern side of Pokrovsk-Mirnograd agglomeration. And when it comes to this another settlement, Novomlinsk, it's in the Kharkov region. This is the area, by the way, Kupiansk direction. I already reported previously about progress of the Russian armed forces in these directions, but Russian Defense Ministry only yesterday afternoon confirmed this information. And also, I think you will find this video interesting. Well, British Challenger 2 tank, by the way, was hunted down by Russian drone in the Kursk region. So let me give you a video of that. I'm sure you will easily recognize silhouette of the tank if you are familiar with the modern MBTs. And this is a drone on that is attached with a cable, so therefore radio electronic warfare system is unable to suppress it. And as you can see, it is clearly a Challenger 2 tanker. Drone is approaching and then strike on most vulnerable area of the tank, which is top of the turret. I guess tank received some significant damage. Maybe this tank is already evacuated by Russian forces. It is a clearly possibility, isn't it? And eventually will end up somewhere in military museums in Russia. Let's continue. Glad newspaper is reporting that Zelensky prolonged the martial law in Kiev controlled territory for another 3 months, up to another 90 days, up to 9th of May. Okay, and RIA Novosti is reporting that press spokesman of the Russian president finally said something interesting about contacts between US and Russian side. President of US almost on daily basis was saying last several days that there is some negotiations, some contacts, and there is some progress in this regard. And Kremlin was saying constantly that at this point there is no direct contacts, right? There is nothing really to talk about. But yesterday, press spokesman of the Russian president said that through different departments, contacts between Russian and US representatives have intensified, but still there is no specific details of high importance that can be shared with public at this point, because I guess there is nothing really to share, no agreements on anything, or just testing of the ground, I guess, right? But well, Kremlin is confirming that there is some additional contacts between the different institutions, state institutions of two countries. And the TASS news agency is reporting that Maria Zakharova, by the way, press spokesman of the Russian Foreign Ministry, laughed at British Foreign Minister David Lammy, and for a reason, by the way. David Lammy stated publicly, by the way, it's on a video, right, on a tape, that relationships between United Kingdom, between Britain and Ukraine counts thousands of years, and he was saying this seriously, right? And obviously such statements couldn't go unnoticed here in Russia, and just about everybody laughed at foreign minister of UK. It is kind of shocking how uneducated or how primitive, right, these people really are in charge of Western countries, right? It's shocking, by the way. I cannot understand how this much uneducated people can be in a position of power. I mean, this does not make no sense, right? But there we go. I mean, foreign minister of a UK believes that relationships between Britain and Ukraine counts for thousands of years. Really, Ukraine was created, for God's sake, by Bolsheviks some 100 years ago on Russian territory, by the way, on historical Russian territory. What Lammy is talking about. But anyways, Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova commented with the irony on the mathematical accuracy of British Foreign Secretary David Lammy in calculating the historical ties between Great Britain and the Ukraine. Earlier, Lammy said that British-Ukrainian partnership dates back thousands of years, and then Maria Zakharova commented, and there has roots in the foothills of Egyptian pyramids, question mark. And what is so little? We also hunted the brontosaurs together, the diplomat wrote on her Telegram channel, parodying basically David Lammy. And it is just a shame, by the way. It is a shame. People in UK should be outraged that this stupid individual, literally stupid, moron, literally moron, represents their country, right? It's not okay, by the way. These officials should have at least some basic education, for God's sake, right? At least some basic education, so that they would not look as freaking idiots, right? All the time they open their freaking mouth. But yet again, I guess British people don't really care no more about reputation of UK. It's damaged so much so that probably Brits are thinking, nice, nothing can repair it from now on, and therefore no reaction, no nothing, Okay, by the way, okay, but world is watching and laughing. I mean, it is what it is, man. And dear friends, before I continue, let me notice that well, if you like these channels of mine, if you like my work and want to support, you can do it. All the links are on this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. And let's continue. Renovast is reporting that well, Hamas reacted on statements of Trump that make huge waves worldwide, tsunamis actually worldwide in the media field. And of course, I mean statements of Trump about occupying Gaza, conducting some ethnic cleansing, and so on. And Hamas obviously condemned these statements of Trump, demanded these statements to be retracted, which will not happen, obviously, but we have reaction from the Gaza Strip. Also, by the way, Trump said that Saudi Arabia will have no issue with his plans to force out Palestinians from Gaza, from their homeland. And Saudi Arabia stated that this is unacceptable. This is absolutely unacceptable. So Saudi Arabia rejects any attempts to displace the Palestinians from their land. The country's foreign ministry stated on Wednesday, reiterating its firm and unwavering commitment to establishment of Palestinian state. And the Saudis also stated that to normalize relationships with Israel, it is necessary Palestinians to have their own independent state. So Trump was actually lying. Not the first time, by the way. None of us are surprised, but he was lying that Saudi Arabia is on board with this plan to expel, to conduct ethnic cleansing, basically. That's what it is, right? Let's call it as it is. It's ethnic cleansing when you are talking about that 1.7 million people have to be, forced out, moved somewhere else from their homeland, right? And it's not just Saudi Arabia. All the countries, by the way, in the region commented on this matter, expressed a negative attitude, including Turkey, obviously. And as you know, Saudi Arabia and Turkey are kind of, in competition to be leaders in a Sunni Muslim world, right? And Turkey also commented on Trump's statements. And Foreign Minister of Turkey, Hakan Fidan, during his conversation with the Anadolu news agency, called the ideas of Trump absolutely unacceptable, which is understandable. So, by the way, I mean, no one should have any illusions that there would be any different reaction in the Middle East, right? But still, it is sad. It is sad that U.S. president is this openly in public talking about ethnic cleansing by trying to disguise it as some sort of humanitarian action, right? They're gonna rebuild, Gaza, and maybe some Palestinians will also live there with some other world people. What world people? What you are talking about? Huh? And as I said yesterday, by the way, even among diehard Trump supporters, there is divide now. People are shocked. Many of his supporters are shocked and disbelieve that Trump is actually acting like, he was not about make America great again, but make Israel great again. And maybe that's what his plans really are. After all, we all know how influential Israeli lobby is, right? According to some reports, Trump received some 100 million or something from one of the, very powerful pro-Israeli, Zionist clan there. But anyways, it is sad, by the way. It is sad that Trump, in the first 2 weeks of his second term, basically destroy all hopes that many people had about his presidency, because he crossed line of no return, by the way. From here, I mean, things might go only worse, right? I see attempts of other part of his supporters to say that, you know what, this is his negotiation style, make some outrageous demands, and then whatever you will receive or whatever you will achieve will be more than otherwise. No, man. When you are talking about genocide or ethnic cleansing, you cannot make no outrageous statements or comments, right? This is people we are talking about, lives of millions of people, right? This is not sort of a monopoly game, right? So that argument is absolutely unacceptable, by the way. I mean, what the hell? But anyways, entire world is definitely on one side, and Trump and Israel and Zionists on the other side on this matter, as it was expected. If anything has to be done, by the way, and one more point, by the way, this part of supporters of Trump that trying to justify his statements are saying that, you know what, something new has to be done because, I mean, you cannot expect any progress while doing same time after time after time. And you know what, this is also nonsense. When US really try to pressure Israel to withdraw its occupation forces from Palestinian territories, to dismantle and withdraw illegal settlements, to act in regards to Palestinians with dignity. When US tried that, did US ever did it? No. So don't give it that BS, by the way, that something new has to be tried. Really? Then pressure Israel. Israel is a aggressor here, and for 70 plus years now, right? Anyways, man. Anyways, if you ask me, if anything has to be done in this part of the world, is the denazification and demilitarization of Israel. First of all, that's a way forward for a sustainable peace. Denazification and the demilitarization of Israel. And by the way, I'm very careful with my words. According to studies that were conducted in Israel, some 70 to 80% of Israelis were in support of cutting all aid, humanitarian aid to Palestinians, and 80 to 90% of Israelis were actually in support of more bombing campaign, more heavier bombing campaign to be done against Palestinians, or more people to be killed. So those people, by the way, in Israel definitely need to be denazified. Some programs to be in place, as Nazi Germany went through, right? People of Nazi Germany after Second World War, there was a huge, massive programs that lasted for decades, right? To denazify these heavily indoctrinated in Nazi ideology people. That's what is need to be done. But unfortunately, no one in US leadership has balls to say so. Right? Anyways, let's continue. RT is reporting that Trump plans to withdraw US forces from Syria, according to media reports. The Pentagon is drafting plans for a full withdrawal of US troops from Syria, and NBC News has reported, citing two anonymous defense officials. The report came shortly after President Donald Trump suggested that America's military involvement in the country's service in the country serves no useful purpose. Well, this is definitely bad news for Kurdish forces that are in control of northern eastern part of Syria, and this is definitely bad news for Palestinians, because these troops could be used then to be deployed in the Gaza Strip, for example, where, as we learned yesterday, Trump plans to commit ethnic cleansing, or at least that's the idea that he's sharing with public, Meanwhile, RT is reporting that Farage's Reform UK party overtakes Labour in a poll for the first time which is quite interesting, by the way. Nigel Farage's right-wing Reform UK party has overtaken Labour for the first time in a YouGov voting intention poll, topping the rankings ahead of both major parties in the country. The poll, published on Monday, found that if a general election were held tomorrow, 25% of British voters would back reform, 24% would support Labour, and 21% would vote Conservative. Very interesting, obviously very interesting. Seems like people in UK are waking up really, or fed up, just fed up with these two main parties that are uniparty in reality and don't really much different from each other. They are all bunch of liars, right, and cowards. And people are looking for some alternatives, and the Reform UK party seems like gaining all this additional support from exactly those people that used to support Labours or Conservatives, but are frustrated now with them, right? Same time, I'm not an expert in British political system, but as far as I understand, a system is so rigged there that even if Farage's party is most popular, it does not guarantees that this party will have, for example, majority in the parliament if elections are held tomorrow, right? Members of our community from UK can share with us more information about some nuances in the political system in Britain, election system, but I think that is the case. But anyways, leading the polls is definitely significant success, and who knows, give it another, I don't know, 6 to 12 months, and Reform UK might even increase its level of support by another 50%, and eventually it might really have some impact on political life of UK, potentially, I don't know. But good luck to Brits, by the way. I used to live in UK for quite a while, in England to be more precise. Unfortunately, I was young and stupid, and I did not visit Welsh. I did not visit Northern Ireland or Scotland. I regret that now. It's a wonderful place, wonderful country, by the way, wonderful people, right? And it is really it does make sad. That does makes me sad when I see some negative news about decline of the UK and the standard of living in UK. So let's hope Farage and his supporters will make some positive changes, by the way, sometime in the future, and UK will serve its people as much as possible, at least better than it does now, right? RT is also reporting that Germany is ready to deploy troops to Greenland. According to Spiegel, that's quite interesting, isn't it? Recently, France, we hear such statements from France that France is ready to deploy its troops into Greenland. Now, Spiegel is reporting that Germany is ready to deploy its troops to Greenland. What troops, by the way? What troops Germany has really that can be deployed into Greenland? But anyways, I guess EU member states are preparing for a war of the words with US, not a real war, but a war of the words and statements and that kind of crap, right? So German government could pledge troops to propose NATO mission in Greenland, according to sources cited by the Spiegel on Tuesday. The reported initiative by European members of the military bloc would aim to mitigate tensions created by President Donald Trump's push for US sovereignty over the Danish island. And well, good luck with it, by the way. Good luck with it. Obviously, NATO is a US, right? If Washington says jump, NATO countries, at least majority of them, will only ask her how high. So that's the situation there. So I don't think anything needs to be added on top of that, right? So it's all about Washington's plans and plans of Western ruling class. And as far as I understand, Western ruling class is determined to reindustrialize US, to transfer US, to finalize transformation of US into an empire, really. And US under the Trump will definitely become much more centralized, right, before, than any time before. And because US is the main enforcer of the Western ruling class, obviously, they will do whatever, Western ruling class will do whatever it takes to reinforce this state, United States, even if that means weakening EU member states, for example. They will sacrifice EU, easy. I guess at some point in the past, Western ruling class was, thinking they were trying to push both EU and US as enforcers, right? But EU start failing big time, right? EU never was a success story, but lately EU is failing big time. EU skeptics are on the rise, right? Patriotic forces are waking up in EU member states, which definitely, I guess, creates some divisions inside the Western ruling class. And if before there was some balance between part of Western ruling class that is based in Europe, or were betting on Europe, and the part that are based on US and were betting on US, there is tension between these two parts now, and seems like part that is based on US and betting on US is winning, right? It is just too clear now. And therefore, as I said, man, they will sacrifice EU easy, right? To reinforce their main hitman that US really is on geopolitical map. Meanwhile, by the way, RT is reporting that French troops began withdrawal from another African state. France has handed over 3 military bases to Senegal, beginning the withdrawal of French troops from the West African country at the request of government. Local news agency Synergio reported on Monday. According to their outlet, French forces have left their Medical, Esther, Exepuri, and their Center Amiral Proter camps. About 200 French soldiers and their families remain stationed in Aukam and Refisque. Senegal added. Paris has 350 soldiers stationed in Senegal and plan to reduce their contingent to 100 as a part of a broader military reconfiguration in the West and Central Africa, where it has suffered setbacks in November. Well, basically, on January 23rd, Le Monde reported that French forces would leave all 5 military bases in Senegal by end of September 2025. So probably this year they will, last French soldier will leave that country too. And this is obviously not the first country that forced out French troops. Just a couple of days ago, I reported that last French soldier left Chad, right? And the process is constant. Country after country after country is forcing French troops out of Central Africa, right? From the countries that used to be colonies of the France. Vzgled newspaper is reporting that Argentina made a decision to leave their World Health Organization. Similar decision was made by Washington just a few days earlier. Okay. Seems like there is some. Seems like we are observing some processes when these international so-called institutions that are not really 100% controlled by the West are experiencing huge pressure now, right? Ones that used to be controlled by the West and now no longer. And therefore, I guess more and more this division of the world between collective West and the rest of the world will only accelerate as time goes by, because I believe it's only a matter of time, and Russia and other countries outside of the collective West will also start leaving organizations, so-called international institutions, that are under 100% Western control, right? And by the way, I remind you that it was a Western-controlled World Monetary Fund experts and World Bank experts that were saying that it is highly likely that world will continue to move towards creation of these blocks, like two blocks, right? Collective West on one side and the rest of the world on other side. And that's exactly what is happening, and seems like this process is unstoppable. At least until Western ruling class will come to its senses and start acting adequately, if it will ever happen, right? If it's even possible. Interfax is reporting that Euroclear, meanwhile, wants to transfer 2 billion euros from profits from frozen Russian assets to fund for Ukraine. Okay, okay, by the way. Euroclear does these criminal moves, by the way, under orders of Brussels, because originally Euroclear was asking not to do this stuff, right? Not to force them to transfer profits from Russian assets or Russian assets themselves to third parties, to second or third parties, but Brussels didn't, in opposition to listen to anybody. They want to steal Russian assets, and they will steal it whenever they can, right? And so soon 2 billion euros from profits of these frozen Russian assets to be sent to formerly Zelensky and his criminal associates. I guess some volume of that money will eventually end up in pockets of corrupt Western officials. Some will end up in pockets of Zelensky and his criminal associates, and some will probably reach maybe Ukraine itself. I don't know. Meanwhile, Vzгляд newspaper is reporting that, reserves in underground storage facilities, gas storage facilities in Europe, dropped lower than 52% at this point, which is significantly lower than last year, for example. And I guess this number will further drop, and the next winter and winter after definitely going to be a huge test for European economies, because situation may develop in the world in ways that Europe would not be able to fill up those underground reservoirs. They would not be able to ask Russia for help, and countries that they will ask, Qatar and US, will not be in a position to do anything about it. So therefore, Europe is heading towards some major energy crisis, for sure. And who is to blame? European political class, right? They did it all. They did everything and continue to do everything to destroy social fabric in Europe, to destroy economies of European Union, and they are quite successful in it, right? And finally, dear friends, I want to share with you this information that new Tu-214 passenger plane that Russian aerospace industry is working on will start being delivered to buyers in 2025. So first planes will be received by avia companies in this year, which is a great news. Which is a great news, by the way. This plane is completely free, as far as I understand, from foreign parts, right? Completely domestically built, and well, Russia is definitely one of the few countries in this world that actually can build not just military jets but also passenger planes domestically, right? No country in Europe can do it at this point because Airbus is a consortium of European states, and none of them single-handedly can build a civilian plane, right? So therefore, it's only a few countries at this point: US, Russia, China. There's some works done in India, but no, there is a long way, I guess, there to go for now. Brazil, by the way, Embraer planes are from Brazil, right? And that's about it. So success story on part of Russian aerospace industry, and the Tu-214 is not the one plane that will enter the service. There are some more planes to be enter the service in upcoming years. More planes in final stages of developments. And this is it, by the way, for now. How long is this update? Well, 46 minutes, okay. Relatively long update maybe, but hopefully you will find it informative, interesting, useful, and if so, please click that like button and leave some commentary just about anything. If you can, please share information about my channel with your friends online or offline. This is the only way we can reach a wider audience, because YouTube is simply not showing my videos, even to subscribers, by the way. Nothing to be said about showing my videos in recommendations to people that might have interest into news from Russia. And finally, if you like my work, or if you want to support this project, you can do it. All the links are on this video description box and in the pinned comment. This is it for now. Have a wonderful day and take care.